Do you remember the weekend that OpenAI hit the world the way that it did? I had, thanks to my friend Bridget, who gets 2 episode shout-outs in a row, a heads up. My fiance Scarlett and I were out to dinner with Bridget, and we were taking an Uber home, and she was talking about this new tool that she had heard about and had some experience working with called ChatGPT. And everyone kind of laughed it off like, yeah, that sounds cool. But in that Uber, I immediately pulled out my phone. I had to see ChatGPT for myself because what it was being described as was a chatbot that had all of the answers and could render text. Of course, we all know what it's capable of now, a few years later. But that was Friday night, and there was about a 6-hour period where I thought that just me and a few thousand people were about to have this tool that was going to completely change what I had access to, and it was going to just like give me such a competitive edge in some way. I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to use it, but I was like, oh my goodness, nobody's heard about this. I've heard about this before other people. I'm going to use this all the time. And what can I do? I could start, I don't know, something. And I thought to myself, I stayed up that night for a couple hours just trying it out, sending it ideas. Give me a whole storyline based on this prompt. Give me all these types of things. And it was doing it in real time, and it blew my mind. And I thought, this is going to change everything. And I have a jump on this. It was not 24 hours later that everyone in the world heard about ChatGPT. So my being ahead of the curve did not last very long. By Monday, I think there was like 1 million users. It was one of the fastest growth technological developments of all time. And of course, now a few years later, it's replacing people. It's doing all sorts of things, both good and bad. And that'll be the subject of today on Earth Tones episode 6, which I'm calling, Yeah, AI. It is Earth Tones episode 6. I'm your host, Jake Pardee. Yeah, we're talking about AI, but first, a sound from our beautiful Earth. That is the wind in Ipswich. We were having a campfire, and it was calm. It was a beautiful summer day, and then all of a sudden, the skies turned gray, and a breeze like I couldn't believe just came right across the trees. And that is that breeze coming. It was not a stormy day whatsoever. It was a beautiful day, and all of a sudden, it just came in one big gust, and everything changed. It was really beautiful. That's the wind. So first, a bit of old news. November 2021, a copy of Maggot Brain. Now, Maggot Brain is distributed through Third Man Records, which is Jack White's record label. Jack White from the White Stripes and the Raconteurs. This is a really cool magazine. It comes out, I believe, quarterly or maybe 6 times a year, something like that. I think, yeah, maybe maybe bi-monthly, something like that. This is November. Technically, the episode, September, October, November, so quarterly of 2021. The bit of old news is this band, Endless Boogie. They put out their album, Admonitions. It's a double album. There's an article by R.J. Smith in here. And they talk about how the group got together, and the musicians are a bit older. They've been playing for a long time, jamming, playing in a rehearsal space in New York. And they had spent years collecting records and are really into psychedelic rock. Now, I chose this because there's a couple-page article. It's beautiful. It's illustrated by someone named Meryl Bayer. I'm not sure if you can see in the video there. But there's beautiful illustrations. It's only a couple page article, but it's laid out so beautifully, and I never would have heard of this band. The Spotify algorithm or ChatGPT or any of this never would have told me about this. What I did was I went out and I bought a magazine from people that I know, love, and trust, and they created this beautiful presentation to be able to introduce me to a band that I now really like. When I went on Spotify, Endless Boogie has about 7,000 or 8,000 monthly listeners, which is a lot, but not like a lot of bands that have millions. I doubt that they necessarily would have come up on my feed. Maybe if I had started listening to some more psychedelic garage music, then I could have eventually led to a playlist that their music would have been featured on, but I got right to this album, Admonitions, because of this article. And today, in the context of talking about AI, that's really my whole thing. It's in the dawn of AI, yes, we have all this technology, but we still can make print media, and we still need to be humans that are talking to each other. And there are still really cool bands like Endless Boogie. So check out this record, Admonitions. It's a double album. If you like psychedelic rock, if you like swampy garage rock, blues, fuzzed guitars, it's great. I never would have known about it if it weren't for this physical thing, this artifact. And if that article was only online, I wouldn't even be able to have old news about it. And I would have seen that article a few years ago when I got this magazine, but the fact that I can pull this off the shelf, open it up, discover a new band, start listening to them, and become a fan a few years later is a testament to why physical things, real things, are still so cool and so valuable. And the AI can replace a lot of things, but it's not going to do that. It's not going to give you a beautiful artifact made by humans. So, yes, today's discussion is AI. Oh boy, everybody has opinions about AI. This is my whole take. AI is a tool, whether that's ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or how they're integrating it into a million other tools that we might have. AI is in fact a tool. We don't need to be afraid of tools in their existence, in their invention. Tools can be used as you want to use them. Now, of course, we do know about a lot of the dangers of certain tools. When I was thinking about preparing for this episode, I was thinking, what are some tools that have had disastrous repercussions despite being quite innovative? One of them we all learned about in school, Eli Whitney's cotton gin. So the cotton gin, as we learned about in school, it revolutionized the processing of cotton. You could separate the cotton actual fibers from the seeds. Okay, that sounds like it may have been a great thing, because at the time, while slavery was a huge business in the United States, an individual could spend an entire day separating, I think it was the seeds from, it was a minuscule amount, like a pound or something of cotton compared to what the cotton gin was going to enable people to do. So on the surface, you might think this is an amazing invention. Hopefully it will lead to the reduction of a need for slave labor and might ultimately lead to being able to eradicate slavery in the United States. Okay, well, unfortunately what happened was the exact opposite, because now you had the ability to have mass production of cotton. And unfortunately, the cotton gin didn't lead to the plantations having fewer slaves. It led to a dramatic increase in slavery, because now they could mass produce on a global scale cotton that could be exported from the United States. It's a tragic, unintended side effect that came from an invention that was simply a tool that could do things better. So, of course, AI does a lot of miraculous things. It can speed up our process of doing several myriad mundane tasks. It allows us to explore ideas, to use a sandbox type of approach to creativity where you can try things out. And of course, there are dangers that I probably don't need to tell you about, because everyone's aware of these. One, we don't want the robots to take over. Don't forget, always remember that the robots are never totally your friends like humans. We've all seen enough sci-fi. We need to remember that Ex Machina, man, Ex Machina, that really taught me. That's a great movie if you haven't seen that. Man, you can't trust the robots. So here's the thing. AI is in fact a tool that we can use, and there are ways to even use it ethically. It does have all of the downsides. Environmental, with its energy consumption, is obviously terrible. The fact that it's replacing so many jobs, of course, is a very unfortunate thing in some ways. But I will say that there are certain things that we can use AI to be able to help us do human experiences. I'm not going to advocate for many of them. I have one of the ideas of how you could use it as a tool in the musical demonstration. But what I want to say in the context of Earth Tones and in the context of appealing to us as musicians and music lovers is, please don't worry about it. Worry about all of the downsides, but when it comes to if AI can replace you as a musician, it just doesn't make any sense. If you are making music that is directly impacted by AI, I'm sorry to hear that. If you're making soundtrack type of background music for sound libraries that could be easily made by AI, I can see how that would be a major bummer to be able to have the debut of AI that can create soundscapes that are comparable to something you can make. But if you're a jazz musician, if you're a garage rock band, if you are a blues guitar player or saxophonist, if you are a singer that writes songs, what you do is reflect and share the expression of humanity. That is what we actually do. And since by definition AI cannot do that, all it can do is mimic that. So please just keep things in context. Yes, AI can make competitive, amazing sounding renderings of songs, but by definition, it cannot produce human expression. And so if you're in the sounds of human business, like I happen to be and what I'm advocating for on this program, AI is actually an opportunity to say, here's a point of comparison. Do you want to have a real lived experience? Well, come check out our band where we plug in and rock out. If you're afraid of AI taking your job, if it really is going to take your job because you're in the advertising industry or something like that, then I'm sorry. I know that that's a very difficult time that you're going through. But if you're worried about AI taking your job and you're a human that's trying to make music, keep practicing, keep writing songs, keep making music, because by definition, AI cannot replace you. You are doing something that we need you to do, which is to be a human and to express what it's like to be a human. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson say, AI can only replicate that which has already been made. So just keep having original thoughts, and AI can never catch up to you. It can only mimic what you've already done. So I don't think that we should ignore the tools altogether. I do think we need to be careful of what we are outsourcing. We don't want to outsource our creativity, but we can use it as a tool. Be careful of what you're letting AI do for you. Don't let it make your decisions about what's a beautiful way to describe a sunset. That's ridiculous. Use it as a really great thesaurus. What are 1,000 synonyms for darkness? You can use it. I've used it for certain things like, okay, I want a 5-syllable line. I don't need it to create my actual lyrics, but I want it to create 100 variations of 5 syllables with nonsense lyrics that I can then sing. Say I played something like, there is nothing here, there is nothing here. I could say, all right, I'm going to write those lyrics. I'm not asking AI to write the lyric. I'm just asking for 5-syllable combinations of things. The dog is outside. I can come up with them on my own, but it is fun and entertaining to say to the AI, Give me 100 5-syllable things, and you just run down the list and you sing them and you work on your melody. There are ways to use it as a tool that you don't have to outsource your creativity. You don't have to have it replace what you're actually doing, which is expressing your own experience. The best part of doing something like that is it then also makes it very easy to reject those ideas, because I think it's important to let AI help you if you want to, but keep them in the realm of, all right, AI, that's enough. I'll take it from here. You read a million bad ideas and then you say, these are all terrible. I have a better idea. I think that AI is useful in that way. Give you 100 bad ideas and then your own brain says, oh, give me a break. I have the actual good idea because I am a human and I have divine inspiration. So here's a musical example of how you could use AI. This is the key of C major. Now, I thought of this on the way here. Again, you don't need AI to do this, but as a demonstration of how AI could be a tool, what I did was I took the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I told ChatGPT, here are 7 letters. Don't even tell it that they're notes because it can't handle music theory. It's terrible at music theory. Tell it, here's 7 letters, for example. I said A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Create a random sequence of those letters and give me 8 of them. And you can repeat any letter if you want to. This is what it created. C, A, F, D, G, B, E, C. So that, if I play it, is... That was a sequence of notes that didn't exist. Again, I could have randomly come up with them myself, but the problem is, the better at music you become, the more you know what they're going to sound like. So as a random number generator or a random letter generator, this is pretty cool, because whether I like it or not, I would have known what those letters may have sounded like. I could have created some sort of contraption or used chance like John Cage. Maybe I could have rolled a die. That would be pretty cool. You could take 2 dice, right? And since you would have 12, you then could have all 12 notes of the chromatic scale, and then you could render those notes by rolling dice. That would be fun. I'm sure people have done that before. But that's what I'm saying. You could use the AI as just a random generator or a tool. If you keep using it as a tool, as part of your own creative process, then it can augment what you're doing. Just don't let it replace what you're doing. So that's our little sequence of letters. Right? And I could create a melody out of it with my own rhythm. I like it. I just followed my own inspiration to turn it into something that happened to have a little bit of like a high life West African vibe, and I like it. That's cool. I could turn that into a little thing, you know. Cool. So that didn't exist because I just asked it for random notes. All right, what's on the turntable this week? Now, here's the other thing. The reason why print media and doing human things is so cool and why I'm not that afraid of AI is that you have such a richer experience by having real human things. These magazines that I go and buy a few times a year, like Maggot Brain, they tell me about bands like this. This is the kit. The album is Moonshine Freeze. It's really Kate and her band. This is the kit. I have now seen them live. I genuinely just happened to see a little clip snippet. That's what it'll be from now on. I saw a little clip it about, maybe it was this album. It was a review, a tiny review. And when I saw them live, I got to tell Kate, hey, you know, I only ever heard of your band because of a random print article that had just a little review of your band. And I thought it was interesting, and I looked it up. Genuinely one of my favorite bands of all time now. This is the Kit is genuinely one of my favorite bands. I think she's extraordinary, and this music is amazing. The album is Moonshine Freeze. If you like earthy kind of music, what I really like about like trance grooves like Stereolab or some of the krautrock bands like we talked about, Kraftwerk. There's a repetition, and you can get the songs really like hypnotically. This is the kit has a lot of that hypnotic type of grooves, very earthy, rooted in folk, but also that like trance grooviness. The song lyrics, the actual songwriting is extraordinary. I really love This Is the Kit. Check them out. I wouldn't have known about them if it weren't for an actual physical magazine that I put my hands on, and I looked them up, and the algorithm was never going to introduce me to This Is the Kit. It took humans to introduce me to them. And when I told Kit, when I told Kate, I said, I learned about this because of an article. She said, wow, that's so amazing. Print media actually works, and that's why we do all that. And we try to actually get publicity, and we send our album out to people and hope that they review it. And you're here, in person at this tiny club in Portland, Maine, because I saw that thing in real life. So don't worry about AI. Real life is still where it's at. It's all good. So something that helped me this week, laughing and having a good time. I had a session at Rear Window Studios with Craig Welsh. We were recording some podcast audio, actually. I was recording with Nick Swift from the band Barely Dead, and he was playing mandolin and I was playing guitar, and we were just laughing and having a good time. And because of that spirit of just camaraderie and laughing, the music really benefited, and we had a really good time. And we got done what we had to get done in an hour or two, and the spirit of just playing and hanging out with friends came through the music, and that's what really matters. Tonight, I'm looking forward to seeing my friends. We're going to make some music with no intention other than just to jam out and express ourselves. So have a laugh, just sometimes the absurdity of the whole thing. The robots are taking over? Come on, man. The robots are taking over. Write a song about it. See what we can do. All right. That is episode 6. Yeah, AI. It's here. It's not going anywhere. The only other thing I'll say about AI that I am concerned about is the access to it. One of the hard parts is that we're going to see in the future that some people have the high-powered AI because they can afford it. It's going to be corporations. It's going to be the wealthy. The rest of us are probably going to have dumbed-down versions of it. Oh, man. Write a song about that. Write a song about tech inequality. Why not? There's a lot of things to write songs about, and there's a lot of human expression that we need in today's world. So, yeah, AI, it's here. Let's do something about it. Okay, that's episode 6. I am Jake Pardee signing off. This is Earth Tones. Please like and subscribe, write a review, send me a message, tell me that AI is terrible and has no redeeming qualities, or that it's your savior. I would love to hear all about it. But I do want to remind you that we are a beautifully musical species on a uniquely musical planet. As far as we know, this is Earth Tones with me, your host, Jake Pardee, episode 6, signing off. I will see you next week for episode 7.